In this segment, we're going to take a look at all the stuff that After Effects recognizes when you're bringing over a Photoshop document. For this, I'm going to go to the exercise files folder. I'm going to open up the Chapter 18 folder, and there's a JPEG I created called PS Stuff AE will recognize. In other words, Photoshop stuff that After Effects will recognize when you're bringing this over as a PSD file. Now, if you're bringing your Photoshop document over as an image file format, or if you import it as footage, then you will not get all of these things here. All of these options only apply to Photoshop documents imported as compositions. So here's a handy-dandy reference list of all the things that After Effects will recognize. Obviously, After Effects recognizes Photoshop layers. It also remembers the visibility. So as we turn those eye icons on and off in Photoshop, After Effects will maintain that visibility that you set in Photoshop. Also, a layer's opacity is remembered. The layer blend modes, all the stuff you have in Photoshop like multiply or screen or whatever, is recognized by After Effects as well because those same blend modes are there. After Effects will also recognize alpha channels from Photoshop documents. Layer masks. Adjustment layers also carry over. Also groups, which are really like folders in Photoshop. When you create folders in documents and you put your layers in those folders, After Effects recognizes them. And not only that, but After Effects will convert those to pre-comps. We'll take a look at an example of this a little later in this chapter. Vector paths will also be recognized as After Effects and will be brought in as masks in After Effects. Now in CS3, layer styles have complete support. We'll be talking about that in the next segment. If you have an older version of After Effects and you're watching this training, After Effects will still recognize some Photoshop layer styles, but the support is infinitely more powerful in After Effects CS3. The guides you create in Photoshop will carry over, clipping groups, text, and I put in parentheses here if converted because it doesn't by default come over as text. You actually have to convert it. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later on in this chapter. And also, if you're using Photoshop CS3 Extended and you have a layer of video, if you bring that Photoshop document into After Effects will recognize that layer as video, which is still a concept that I'm getting used to. I've been using Photoshop CS3 Extended for months and months now. I've done a Lynda title on that stuff, but it's just such a new world to me, and it's so exciting, all that you can do. I mean, as if all this other stuff wasn't enough. Now we have video layers and layer styles and a whole bunch of other stuff that After Effects now understands when coming over from Photoshop. I don't know of two programs in the world that integrate better than Photoshop and After Effects. Now, the long promised day is next, folks. We're going to talk about layer styles. These great special effects you can apply to layers natively now in After Effects. No need to bring them over from Photoshop. They are right here in After Effects. That is the next segment. Let's go to it.